What's up, everybody? How are you guys doing? Hope you're doing absolutely fantastic. Welcome in to a live lesson here, and we are doing this on Long and McQuaid's YouTube channel. If you guys are not familiar with Long and McQuaid, amazing chain of stores in Canada. I've done a few clinics there in the past, and I hope to come back soon. But it's a true honor to be here as their guest. So I know you can't give a lot of applause in the online world, but please just internally give it up for Long and McQuaid, because they're the ones that made this happen. In the chat room, you will be talking to my wife, Amber. She's on screen now, as well as my dear brother, Dante Roberson, who didn't know that I was doing this today, just stopped by to say hi about 18 seconds ago. And I was like, you get in the studio. Gah, I gotta go, man. I was like, I'll give you a hug in a second. But you guys hadn't seen each other in a while, so I was like, get in there and hang out with Am, give your sister Am a hug. Anyways, we are going to be talking about flow today and developing a sense of flow. Everything I just played for you, I mean, I have no idea what I'm doing. None of it's thought out. The only thing that was thought out was, I think I'm gonna start with a crash. That's about it. And then you just see where it takes you. It took me into this little buzz roll thing. So already now I'm starting to think, boom, za za, flagita gang, bazooka dom, jagga 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 boom, za za, slum plata gata, jagga jagga boom, za za. So there's a little hook there. So even when it's completely improvised, it's not really completely improvised. Something is holding it all together, and that's what we're going to be going over today. By the way, as this thing's going on, if you have questions, you can throw those questions into the chat. If they are about what I'm doing in the moment, Amber will just stop me in my tracks and she will ask your questions for you. If they're about gear, Matt from Long and McQuaid is in there. He can help you out with gear things. And then I'll definitely do a full Q&A section towards the end of this class. So I encourage you to be as interactive as possible. I also encourage you to be as polite as possible. The thing that makes the drumming community what it is that we're generally pretty nice people. We're pretty humble, and we're very supportive of one another. So I'd like to see that in the chat as well. All right, so let's start digging into this idea of flow. Well, really, to get into a sense of flow, we have to think about, well, what's the opposite? The opposite is when you're just starting out on the drums and you've learned something. Let's say you've learned this. That's a pretty common beat, right? Well, when you first learn this, you feel absolutely confined. You feel shackled. You can't do anything. You go, I'm going to open a hi-hat. No, I'm not. And nothing happens. And then you say, but I'm going to give it some sauce. And you look at the floor tom, you're like, screw that. Nope. Anything you do will throw this off, so you don't have a sense of flow. Or maybe you have a sense of flow in the genre that you play the most, but as soon as somebody gives you a new groove, like a kind of a songo-esque thing, maybe you're playing something like that and you just feel like, I can't do anything. All I can do is this thing. Rosanna Shuffle, I've seen that a million times. Or Fool in the Rain by Led Zeppelin. People are like, oh, I got the halftime shuffle down. I'm like, cool, let's do it, but let's just tweak it this way. Let's open the kick this way, or play the kick this way, open the hi-hats here. And they can't, because they didn't learn a halftime shuffle. They learned Fool in the Rain. They learned Rosanna, but they never learned what made it possible. So we're gonna explore that stuff today. There is a PDF that you should all have access to. It's either in the description below the video, and if it's not there, Amber or Matt can paste it into the chat. I will be going off of the same PDF. It should say at the top, Developing Flow. So the first thing we have to do is realize that flow, just like speaking any language, it comes from vocabulary that is set in stone. No one wakes up and just starts inventing words and making new sounds with their mouth. They learn these very specific things, and eventually they learn them so well that they can use them freely without thought. You know, you learn very specific sentences. We are going to the zoo to see an elephant. Well, if you only memorize that sentence, how many times would you get to use the word elephant in your life? If that's the only sentence you know that uses elephant, well, probably 2 or 3 times whenever you go to see an elephant at the zoo. But if you learn the word elephant and all the different ways it can be used, then you can see somebody's new Ford F-150 and be like, damn, your truck is as big as an elephant. Now you've used it in a whole new way because you're free with that word. You're flowing with that vocabulary. It's the same thing with this stuff. We're going to take some very finite things, some very small chunks of notes, these little blocks, and we're going to learn them really well. And we start stitching them together, and then all of a sudden we're flowing. Now I've chosen the topic inside of flow of triplets. And the reason why is I encounter a lot of students, and I encounter a lot of drummers that have an amazing command over the world of 16th notes, but then when it comes to triplets, their vocabulary drops off. So this is a very common thing. If I hear somebody doing this, and I stop them and I say, woo, you sound good. Give me some triplets. This is what I hear. And I'm like, whoa, okay, well that was correct. But what happened? Like when you were playing 16th notes, you were up here with this vocabulary, this flow, this ease of your playing. And then all I did was change the subdivision and your vocabulary dropped down. And there's an imbalance there. What we need to do is we need to take those subdivisions and balance them out so that you're as free, you're as able to flow with 16th note triplets, sextuplets, whatever you want to call them, as you are with 16th notes or 32nd notes. A lot of times it's not a speed thing. I will hear people play 32nd note stuff. Just flying around the I'm like, whoa, you're so fast, you're so amazing. And then triplets, and I hear just this weird set in stone, all flexed out thing. So we have to develop our triplet vocabulary. If you've had time to check out the PDF, take a look at it. So what I've given you is a lot of common blocks of notes. Blocks that once you master them, you'll have flow in the world of triplets. Block A, right, left, left. Not too bad. We've got right is accented, left is ghost noted. So we think of it as A, 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 A. You can literally say A every time you do this. A, A. That left hand should not come up more than 2 inches. The right hand is coming all the way up. So it's not this, it's this. We have a dynamic shape to this. To me, this is a sticking. This is a vocabulary word. This is giving it some attitude. All right, so you're feeling A, 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 A. Now look at block B. Block B, chunk B of notes, it's a complementary block of notes. It's gonna make block A sound really cool when you start stringing them together. So B is right, right, left, but you're popping the left. Right, right, left, right, right, left. 1, 2, 3, 4, B, 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 B. So you can see we've got this valley where we have our 2 ghost notes and then a peak, where in A we had the peak and then we drop down to a valley. So if you look at the bottom of the PDF, I've got these big like kind of letters for you. That's what you're going to be doing with all of these. So the first thing we have is 4 A's and 4 B's. So remember, A, 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 B, 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 B. Let's do that together with a metronome. The metronome's really just to keep me on track. Don't worry if you can't hear it, that's okay. I will keep time with my left foot for you. Let's take this, say, pretty slow. Just tapping that tempo out. About 70 BPM. And so we're gonna do 4 A's and 4 B's. 2, 3, 4. A, 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 B, 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 A, 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 B, 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 A, 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 B, B. Dante, if you're distracting her from changing the camera angles, I will come in there and do absolutely nothing about it. A, A.
That's
A.
right, you won't.
B, B. You're making me rush. A, 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 B, 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 B. Okay, so that's an exercise. That's all it is. It's just an exercise. But, I mean, if you wanted to make that a fill, you could. But it is just an exercise. I mean, that's all it is. But you can see even that has some potential. So now, if you take a look at the second line down here, we're still on A's and B's. If you take a look at that second line, well, now we're starting to shorten the distance between the A's and the B's. We've got two A's and two B's. A, B, B. A, B, B. A, B, B. And so you'll start to hear this thing come together. Let's try that at 80 BPM. Let's do it together. I'll count you in. In 1 and a 2 and a ready, go. A, B, B. A, B, B. A, B, B. A, B. Keep going. A, B, B. Keep going. A, B, B. You can do it hands and knees. B, B. A, B, B. Okay? So that thing in its, as you jack up the tempo, I'll just leave this on. And you can start to see the potential here, right? It's like, oh man, I'm playing triplets and I'm flowing in the triplets. Yes and no. It sounds flowy, but you are playing something set in stone. You're just doing two A's and two B's. But hopefully at this point your mind is starting to go, I could do this with anything. I know. Yes, you could. You could make up your own A, your own B. You could do this with so many things. I have them all listed out for you in the PDF. Once again, if you're just joining us now and you need the PDF, get in the chat. Amber will paste it there. So now take a look at line 3. One of each. A, B, A, B. Oh my God, this is a rudiment. This is called the 6-stroke roll. A, B, A, B, A, B, A, B. So the 6-stroke roll is built out of these two little blocks that we are using. But when you learn it as a 6-stroke roll, this goes back to that halftime shuffle thing I learned Rosanna. It's like, well, then you didn't learn a halftime shuffle. You learned a song. That song happens to take advantage of the halftime shuffle, but you have no freedom with the shuffle if I start messing up or changing the kicks. If I ask you to leave it and do a fill that isn't in that song, you don't have any command over it. Same thing with the 6-stroke roll. Doing this is great, but what if this and this, what if you had a command over those? Now you're flowing because you learned these 3 notes and these 3 notes. Yes, they happen to exist in a 6-stroke roll, but you don't have to learn them like that. So taking a look at the 4th line. Now you've got A, B, A, B, A, B, B. Well, what is that? A, B, A, B, A, B, B. Right, left, right, left, right. Oh my God, it's a paradiddle. So A, B, A, B, A, B, B. There is no way somebody can catch up with that sticking. Now you really are flowing because people can't predict what's happening. That's the 4th line. That is a fill, not bad. So now we're getting somewhere. Keep in mind, you're watching a YouTube video right now. You're watching a live YouTube video. Social media is a lie. I'm saying, like, there you go. You don't have to practice. Don't even worry about it. Actually, you don't even have to wonder if you can do this. Just go to a gig tomorrow. You got this. That's not how it works. I am giving you the information, but you're going to have to put in the time. And this is going to take a lot of time. And it starts with the top of this page, just literally sitting there going A. And your mom goes, stop playing your pad. No problem, Mom. A. Do whatever you need to do to keep practicing. B. You have to just ingrain this stuff. A, B, B, A, B. So speaking of AAB, take a look at the fifth line. AAB, AAB. That to me is the first one that is a true fill because it has a melody to it. Listen. AAB, AAB, A. Ding, ding, dun, ding, ding, ga ding, boom. 2, 3, 4. A, B, A, B, A. 2, 3, 4. A, B, A, B, A. Let's hear that as a fill. That's not too bad. I'm telling you, if you played that with absolute certainty and absolute confidence that what you're doing is cool, there is no bass player on the planet that's going to turn around and say, I wish you would do something more complicated. That is more than enough. It's got a sound. And you start to think like, oh man, I can just be free with this. My advice to you would be, take it slow. Once you feel like you have A and B down, and truly start to flow on the instrument. Just improvise. Constant improvisation of that. So let's just take it up to say 90. Can I help either of you? I've got a job to do here. And
we're supporting you.
Really?
We're cheering you on from behind the scenes.
Doesn't feel like it.
No, we are.
Feels like there's a lot of fluff happening.
Yeah, we're cheering you on. That's what fluff is.
I've known Dante long enough to know that anytime he gives me a thumbs up, right below the desk he's doing this. Yeah. Okay, then his toes are pointed down. All right, so if I start to improvise with this, we'll kick it up just a little bit. So this is still slow. But all I'm going to use is A's and B's. And then I bring that up a little bit. if that's what's happening with me only knowing 2 little chunks of notes, imagine what's going to happen when we expand it. Amber.
I have a question for you.
Is it your question or is it their question?
It's their question.
Okay.
It's from Fat Cat Drummer. I don't know the real name.
Brother Fat
Says,
Cat.
out of curiosity, does this exercise work with half speed and double speed changing on the fly? I'm curious what the dynamic and shift would be like for free flow options.
Yeah, I don't think there'd be any difference. It would, no matter how you're feeling it, whether it's, let's not think of it as half speed and double time. Let's just have time and think of it as 16th note triplets and 8th note triplets, right? So if we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, it would definitely work. The timing wouldn't matter. My biggest advice to all of you though is you got to slow down. I see so many people, especially that are learning online, just are like, nailed it. I'm like, you did? Do you mind real quick just playing it for the panel of Steves? Oh, what's that? Oh, just Steve Smith, Steve Jordan, Steve Gadd. They're just going to come in and watch you play. Steve Ferroni too. Do you mind if the panel of Steves watch you do it? And it's like, well, no, I don't have it down. I'm like, okay, well then, why don't you just slow down? There's no rush. If you slow down, you'll have it for the rest of your life. So, and Fat Cat Drummer, that's not to your point. I'm just saying, like, I think a lot of times we think that somehow faster is better. And so this works with any tempo. And I'm never thinking half time, double time, cut time. I'm generally thinking like, all right, well, can I play it at it's more of just a where does my body max out? Any other questions before we move on? All right, so let's get down into the rest of these. So to have a sense of flow in triplets, let's say that I was just trying to improvise some 1-bar 16th note triplet fills. So I'm going to drop us down to say, let's see, 115-ish. All right, that's moving, right? And that is a place that definitely for me, even as somebody that felt very comfortable flowing in 16th notes and even 32nd notes, that tempo caused me to play singles and go. And I was like, what the heck? Why can't I do shap doom shake it gang do bing or ding ding ba ding ding ba ding ding ba ding ding? And it's like, well, we have to slow down. So if you hear me do this, if you heard it slow, it's just everything that's on this page. So if we look at letter C, we've got right, left, kick. And letter D is kick, right, left, popping the left. So if I start to do this stuff with those letters, well, let's see what it would sound like if I did the 4 A's and the 4 B's, the top line. I'm not saying that it's like the greatest chop ever, but you could do that. And that's an exercise, but you could get away with that. That's just an exercise. So we start to shorten that distance. The second one, A, A, B, B. Cool. What about the fourth one down, the paradiddle? So A, B, A, B, A, B, B. All right, probably should have practiced this. This might not go so well. So now if we combine that with the original, that was C and D, but if we combine that with the original A and B, we're starting to speak a little bit on the drums, right? So now we've got that's still just an exercise, but you can see how it's like, oh my God, that's the stuff I keep hearing. And it's like, I know, it's not built out of like space alien vocabulary. What can I do for you, Am?
Question, can you please play a couple of examples as grooves using the hi-hat and ride cymbal only without using the toms?
Sure. So you want it as a groove instead of a fill. Sure. That's just A and B stuck together. It's a 6-stroke roll. So you have to experiment with this stuff and find out, like, when do you want to make it a groove? Is it an improvisational thing? You know, a lot of times just right, left. I do that all the time. I just do, can you give him an overhead, Am? I just do a shikada-boop. So I just go shikada-boop. That's it. So it's just this underhand flip. But I'm always doing that right, left. I just don't stay on it for an hour, but so keep in mind, all of this stuff is not so that we can go, I'm going to do A, B, A, B. Please never think like that. This is a page of exercises. Just like in school, you got a page of vocabulary words. Nobody handed you a page of vocabulary words and said, get out there, kid, start speaking. You can't. You know cat, you know dog, you know hair. It's not going to work well if you just go to the mall and start chatting somebody up with 4 words. So this is a page of vocabulary words. This is an exercise page. At some point, you have to look away from the page and say, today I'm going to practice speaking. I'm going to learn how to say something. These are all getting me closer to something I want to say. Sometimes I want to say, dang, dang, jang, dang, big, 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 and sometimes I want to say, and those upbeats. And sometimes I want to combine them. Ding, shigga bang, bang, shigga bang, bang, shigga big, 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 ding, bing, 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 shing, jang, dang, big, big, big. I'm never thinking of right, left, kick, right, left, left. I put in the work years ago so that it would all melt away. And I'm telling you, if you want the freedom, if you want flow, if you want to be able to speak, if you could just get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, these 8 vocabulary words down. I'm not saying give them 5 minutes and be like, nailed it. I mean down, where when you miss something, it doesn't throw you off. When you hit something on accident, it doesn't throw you off. When there's music going on, it doesn't throw you off. That's when you've really got this stuff. So let's just run through the rest of these and then we'll get to a bunch of your questions and see what you guys have to say. And I'll also kind of speak more in a general sense of flow as well. So now we've done A, B, C, and D. Let's take a look at E. E is like one of the most common things you'll ever hear drummers play in the world of triplets, which is kick, kick, right, left, right, left. So now we're getting into more complex vocabulary words. Our first 4 vocabulary words were 3 notes long. Well, now we've got 6 notes. So we can expand the phrase. It's not these little tiny chunks. Now we've got some syllables going on. All right, so that in itself is just a little phrase. Could you use it as a fill? Yeah, it's going to be very repetitive, but you will come out with the right hand on the crash. All right, but more likely than not, I might come out of that. Let's say, and I don't know how much of you guys have studied my past, but I've been one of the most in-demand country drummers, session drummers, of course, in the country genre for a very long time. Basically, jazz and country. Those are like what I'm known for, if you're just joining now. And if you're not just joining now. Yeah, question?
2 questions. Actually, Matt from Long McQuaid is asking what mics you're using currently.
Okay.
And then also, could you demonstrate C again, please?
Sure. And just to be clear for those of you that don't know my sense of humor, I'm not an in-demand country drummer. I am totally kidding. That one thing that I am not. But let's pull up a country track just to get to Matt's point. So this overhead, Am, you want to give him a little overhead shot? This is my only sound source for my drum set, besides my kick mic, but this is where everything you're hearing is coming from. This is an AT 4050 ST. The ST bumps the price up just a little bit. It's a stereo mic, so there's actually a 5-pin cable coming out of this, and then it goes into 2 XLRs. So I actually get 2 channels, a right and a left, and I can control them independently. So I can actually EQ the side that's picking up my snare slightly different than I EQ the side that's picking up my floor tom. So this side over here actually is EQ'd. How you feel about that? Tell me you're kind of excited.
You're a show off.
I'm not a show off.
I need 9-10 mics for my kids.
I'm trying to think though, am I a show off or am I lazy? Because 9-10, yeah, I'm lazy. I'm lazy. I was like, I could mix a whole kit, or yeah, but so this has actually 2, so it has 1 cable coming out, but it splits into 2 XLR leads, so you'll get 2 going into your interface. So 4050 ST, Audio-Technica 4050 ST, and then in front of the kick drum, which you can't see on any of our cameras, right in front of the kick drum, probably about 1.5 feet, I've got an Audio-Technica AT 5045, maybe? I'll have to look into that one. And it's just a large diaphragm condenser mic. So I don't have a porthole in my kick, so I don't have a technical kick drum mic. I just have 2 large diaphragm condensers. But I have done this exact setup for different live streams with Audio-Technica AT 2020s, which are $99 each, about that, and it works great. You just EQ it slightly different, but and what you're hearing is live. I mean, I'm not going into like Pro Tools, or I'm not going into Logic or anything like that. You're hearing it live. I am going into a Behringer interface that allows me to mix from my iPad. So I do have EQ and compression on these mics, but obviously no reverb, no real effects. So yeah, that's my mic setup. Was there a second one, Am? It was just the mics.
Demonstrate C again, please.
Sure. So letter C is right, left, kick, but you're popping the right and ghosting the left. And then D is the reverse of that. So if we just do C, D, the way they go into each other creates a double kick in the middle and then double accents on the end. Pretty cool. I mean, just by itself, that's 6 notes. C and D together, 6 notes. It's enough. And so what I was saying about the country thing is, let's pull up a country song. So on mikeslessons.com, you don't have to sign up. I don't need your email address. I don't need anything. But if you're ever wanting more of this, we do this every single week on mikeslessons.com live, and then you can watch it in the archives. But we have a huge selection of drumless tracks. So when I was saying on letter E, I'm probably not going to loop it. I'm probably not going to loop it, but I might play it just on the way out, like maybe just beat 4. So let's say, let's try this. A little country track. I have no idea what this song sounds like, so I'm going to skip to a chorus and just see if I can get out of it with just letter E. Okay, perfect. So we can do it right at the end of that chorus. Here we go. By the way, I don't think I've ever heard this before. We'll figure it out. All right, so I just did 2 of those letters. Done. That's what I want you to have. And it's not that, excuse me, while I pick this up, it's not that is right or wrong. It's having those options. In all honesty, in that track, I probably would have gone flabadoon or blah, blah, blah. But I have that option. If somebody did turn around and say, hey, I love fla, blah, blah, but do you have something a little spicier? Do I? Look at my sheet. I think letter E is right up your alley. All right, let's get through the rest of the letters, and then we can get into a bunch of your questions. So letter F, you should recognize letter F. And this is where I think everything's gonna start to blow your mind. Letter F, paradiddle diddle. You know how to do it, hopefully. We've got paradiddle diddle, paradiddle diddle, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, left, left. Para means singles, diddle means double. So para, 2 singles, and then diddle, diddle, double, double. Para, double, double, para, double, double. So we have that with our hands. Right hand is on the ride, left hand is on the snare, and the bass drum follows the right hand. Not too bad. All right, so we work that up. Let's say that, talk to me.
Question from Ross. How sensitive to the room is this sort of mic setup? Would it sound good in a less acoustically treated setting?
Yeah, for sure. So basically the way it works is the closer the overhead gets to the kit, the tighter the kit sounds. The further away the mic gets, the bigger the kit sounds. So if you're in a room that's extremely dead, you take the mic and you move it a little bit higher up. Get some space, get some air in there. If you're in a room that's extremely live, this thing should be like almost eye level. And then the great thing about this mic setup is the fact that it's on me. If I feel like, oh God, the toms are so quiet, let me turn, oh my God, we don't have faders. Oh, the snare's too loud, oh my God, we don't have faders. We just have mic, not this mic. We have MIC mic. So it's like, all right, we'll hit the snare softer, hit the toms harder. It turns you into a drummer that really cares about the sound that you're producing, because you can't fix it in the mix. You just have overhead. So, do you have another one?
Yeah. From Kurt, says thoughts on how to begin moving these exercises around the kit.
I think the first thing is just to move to a new position. So let's say that we are on letter F. So move to a new position and allow your ear to soak that in. If I'm not using cymbals, I'm going to get rid of the kick. I don't like the kick muddying up the toms. So check it out. Letter F. Then from there, once I've played a bunch of different surfaces without moving at all, but I've allowed my ear to accept it so it doesn't throw me off, then I can go into, let's move the right hand. I slow the tempo back down. I don't stay where I was, like, well, I got up to 120, I'm gonna be fine. It's like, no, you won't. You're gonna crash. So I slow it back down and I only move the right hand. I build that up a little bit more. And then I would do the same thing with the left hand and just slowly build that up. And then eventually I'm just improvising in paradiddle diddle or letter A, letter B, letter C, letter D. Doesn't really matter. Yeah.
Another one, it says, even with the time spent on your vocabulary over the years, do you find that you still have to stop yourself from autopiloting to an old favorite, or does that go away eventually?
No, I think that the autopilot, what happens, it's like a set list with your band. You just, as you get new fills, new ideas that you really dig, they just take the place of the ideas that aren't as good. You know what I mean? So it's eventually you have to stop thinking of fills and beats and you just play drums. Sometimes the drums are grooving and there's a consistent backbeat and there's a consistent kick, but I'm not just thinking in loop. Because even if I'm playing, let's say, boom, ka, boom, ka, boom, boom, ka, boom, ka, boom, I still have flow to do whatever I want. I just can't stop whatever I call them the primary notes. What are the primary notes to the crowd that doesn't play drums? It's not this, it's. So in that, I have some freedom of flow. Now, if I have that same improvisational feel, that same flow, and do it with the primary notes, you'll see what happens. What just happened to the drummer? It's like, so there's something that's always holding us together, and to kind of tie it into your question, like, I eventually get rid of fills, beats, grooves, chops, and I just play drums. Sometimes my drumming is simple. If the song calls for this, then maybe a chop in that world is an open hi-hat. Maybe a chop or a lick is a finger roll. Here comes the chops. Ooh, spicy. You know, so it's just all about playing with intent and playing in relationship to the moment. When I'm playing 90% of the time that I'm playing, the moment is I'm teaching other drummers how to drum. I'm trying to inspire them. So I have a lot of freedom. But it doesn't mean that if I was playing headline, let's see what this country drumless track sounds like. Okay. So I'm not thinking, that's not on my mind. It's
driving down the 405, sing along to the radio. We're gonna make it someday. Nothing's gonna get in our way. We will be the biggest band in town. Round and round the world we'll go, putting on the greatest show. So make sure that you don't miss out, just be there. We're taking our shot on what you got. We're going all the way to the top. We will hear the sound of 1 million people screaming our names when we're backstage. We're playing loud, surfing the crowd. Everybody's jumping around. Yeah, that's the place where I wanna be. Going on job.
Right? I mean, you play for the song, you play for the music. So I have to channel like, okay, well, I used to be a rock drummer. Look at this. You don't just get this. You got to earn this. This 90s tribal lame tattoo, you got to earn that. Is that why you fell in love with me, babe?
Absolutely.
She was
I saw
like-
that and I was like, I'm done.
He's dangerous.
I have 2 questions.
Bring it.
Okay, Kevin's question. Did you intentionally choose to go with a smaller drum kit with the intention of forcing you to be more creative?
Really good question. No. I chose this because I'm a full-time educator. That's my job. And I just feel that as I'm teaching, most likely 99% of my students have at least this. If I start writing out notation for 3 toms up, 2 toms down, a side snare, splashes, stackers, there's a good chunk of my students that'll be like, I don't have any of that stuff. And so I never want to teach something that requires a specific setup. So I teach almost everything in kick, snare, and cymbals. And then if anything, Amber, fix that guy. Fix him. I'm not lazy.
Didn't even see
I've
that.
seen your setup. And there's nothing fun about being like, so how much does the gig pay? $35? Yeah, let me get 8, 10, 12, 13, 14, 16. Do you want my 20-inch kick and my 22? Like, I tell everybody, is there stairs? There is stairs? Yeah, you get kick, snare, and hats. There's no stairs? I'll bring a ride. So yeah, my setup is just because I'm a teacher. Like, I feel like everyone has access to at least to this. So I try to create everything for at least this. And then obviously everything I'm teaching can be expanded to all the drums and all of the little bells and whistles that you want. Next question.
Okay, this one says, lots of current chops and grooves are very reliant on fast kicks. How do you suggest gaining consistency in foot velocity, not just tempo?
Well, it's a really good thing. You know, I think it comes down to some volume work. And just like you worked on your hands, you got to work on your single strokes, you know, just being able to play consistent singles. You have to work on your doubles. And I think that to be great at doubles, you need to work on your triples. So for singles, I literally just play right kick for a while and then left kick, like. And whatever tempo you do that is fine. And then doubles, you know, it could just be right kick for a while and then left kick. Sweep it, do whatever you want. Then for my triples, it's just a single paradiddle, right, left, right on loop. So just right, left, right, but my bass drum goes with the right hand, and that gives me 3. So it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that would be. And that is kind of important. Every once in a while, you'll find yourself screwing yourself over by ending a fill like this. And you're like, you gotta be kidding me. And you do need that third kick. So having that 3 is really, really helpful. And all of that stuff, not to be a salesman, don't need your email address, don't need anything, but it's all living on mikeslessons.com in our foot speed courses. So it starts with foot speed course 1. I think it goes up to like foot speed course 8, and each course has 6 lessons in it. Next.
For a common student, how much time would you consider an average student would get at least the third line to a move-on point?
I don't think it works quite like that. I think as far as an average student, it's so difficult because it has so much to do with what's common to you, what's normal to you. Somebody that's never worked in the world of triplets is going to really struggle with this stuff for quite a while. Somebody that grew up just playing swing music, jazz, the world of triplets is just going to click a lot faster for them. So I would say the most important thing is judge yourself based off yourself. You can probably play this. Ask yourself, how do you feel when you play that? It's like, I feel fine, I can do anything. Do you feel like that when you're doing letter A, letter B, letter C? If you're tense and you don't have freedom, and every time you look somewhere you screw up, you don't have it. If your eyes are on the page, you don't have it. Once it just comes out of you naturally, you know. Was that natural? Felt natural. You know, if it's just happening and I'm not thinking about the combinations, then it's like, cool, it's time to move on. Next.
Okay, talking about kick drum technique, is the burying the beater discussion academic or real?
Oh, no. So that's such a good question. No, burying the beater is absolutely real. It's just wrong when people, especially older drum teachers, tell you that burying the beater is wrong. It's not wrong in the slightest. It is an effect. So I have a pillow in my bass drum. I can bury the beater. Can you give foot cam? Or I can not bury the beater. There is a little bit more low end in the non-buried version. I'm getting a tiny bit more tone and I can barely hear it through I have very nice in-ears and I can hear it a little bit. But for the most part, if I was playing a gig, no one would notice the difference. So sometimes in a rock setting, when you're slamming, or a heavy funk setting, you know, you've got a pillow in your 22-inch kick, you might as well just rest your foot there. Give your hip flexor a rest. You're going to burn yourself out if you don't. Or you're going to go to heel down to let the bass drum breathe, and you're just not going to have the power to play a strong funk or rock or country set. Now, when I'm playing my I have two 18-inch kicks. They're wide open. You cannot bury the beater. It's like stepping on a duck-billed platypus with golf shoes. It's the worst sound ever. And the bass drum does not want to be a part of it. So it's like, well, it's a sound issue. So in that case, one, I'm playing less notes because it rings. It's going doom. So I'm going bow, skaka, bow, bow. I'm not going to go bow, 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 bow. It'd be way too much. So it's like a tom. We don't play our toms like this. So when you have an 18-inch wide open bass drum, you want it to breathe. We don't want that. So I think that the burying the beater thing is a sound that I worked really hard to achieve the freedom of. If I'm playing something where it doesn't matter, I bury it. It's just easier on my leg. If I get to a sit-in gig and I'm like, bow, I'm like, I guess we're going to be playing off of the head today. And I think that that's a very important thing for all drummers to learn. Anything else?
Yeah, three more, at least three more.
Okay.
Was there a specific turning point or light bulb moment when you realized the value of flow and vocabulary? If so, what was it and why? Or did you always value that and pursue it from the start?
No, I didn't value it at all, to be honest. It wasn't until I stopped touring and stopped playing memorized music where I was note for note playing what I recorded on the album or what the drummer before me recorded on the album. All of a sudden I started playing with musicians that were improvising, and they were like, no, just keep this feel alive, but just flow. I'm like, yeah, could you sing it to me? I don't really do the flow thing, man. And they're like, yeah, boom, 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 boom. Do that. Everything else is up to you. I'm like, okay, yeah, I think I'll just do that. Right? And so then all of a sudden I started getting into the type of music, especially fusion, that was held together. It wasn't avant-garde jazz where people were just playing random notes, but it was held together with something, but there was a lot of freedom and a lot of expression. And, between my heroes of fusion, which would be mainly Dave and Vinny, and then Will Kennedy and then Steve Gadd, and like the way that they played, it was like, well, something's holding this together, but there's still some freedom in there. It's not a pop structure. So yeah, I would say it's been the last maybe 6 years that I've really cared about flow. And one thing that really helps that is just anchor repetition, you know, having just jazz style, having a motif, you know, maybe every 2 bars, right? So if I'm grooving, if I'm just kind of messing around and I feel like, okay, we're getting a little all over the place, you'll hear me drop in some sort of anchor. Sometimes it's like a little bit of a Latin phrase. Sometimes it is. So I'll use that just so you can recognize it. Boom, 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 ka. That's gonna glue me everything together for every 2 bars. Now I'm doing it every 4 bars, but it's all tempo based. So those are the things that, like, I'm still not just off the leash, just going bananas. There's something holding it all together. And sometimes it's more of a feel. You know, I might be in a Gadsden groove. And I have freedom in a lot of different ways, but I'm in that environment. I'm not just doing that and then out of nowhere, Afro-Cuban 6/8, and out of that into like a blues shuffle. So hope that helps. Next.
Okay, next one says, would you suggest slide or heel toe for the examples that you've played, or would either work?
Both would work fine. And what I would suggest is what I call the desired result technique, which is know about the techniques that exist. You should know about them. Heel toe, heel up, heel down. I use what's called the skip technique. So Am, can you give foot cam? So I hit the pedal in the middle, and then I don't slide. It may look like I do, but I hit the pedal and I skip to the strongest part of the pedal. This is kind of a weak spot, and then I skip up. So it's, but those are 2 very, very purposeful hits. And if I'm doing 3, I divide the pedal up in thirds. Doon, 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 doon. But I never practiced that. I knew that heel toe existed. I knew heel down, heel up, skip technique, Weckel's swivel technique. I'd seen everything as a kid, and I just knew that I wanted to play, you know, One by Metallica, or, you know, little 5-stroke rolls. I just wanted that thing, and you know, my parents, we just didn't have enough money for a double bass pedal. So I worked, and then I looked down one day and saw, oh, that's what's happening down there. But I never really tried to do that. So I think any of those techniques, anyone that's a master of one of those techniques has proven that it works, but you do have to find what works for you. Dante, how big what's your shoe size?
13.
13. So likely the exact technique that works for me with size 15 shoes probably won't work.
Oh, sorry.
Probably won't work for him because he's got small little feet. And so, what technique do you use?
Bruising for a bruising.
So skip. So same thing.
Yeah.
And then, do you have long pedals? What Mapex pedals do you have?
Falcon, just a regular Falcon.
Okay.
No long, no nothing. Yeah, just regular Falcon.
And did you, when you were learning it, did you slow down and just do like skips, or did you just learn how to play fast and look down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just amazed by certain drummers, like, and just watching, you know, hearing them play.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do it, so I just, all of a sudden, I see my foot just moving. And, all right, this works.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it was for me. You know, and the other thing to just be careful of is once you can do it, stop doing it, because you won't be able to stop doing this. You will do that into every backbeat. There's no bass player alive that wants to just thumb out 2 quick notes between every, you know, boom, ding, bling. So it's okay every once in a while, but once you have that speed, just like great power, you have to be responsible with it. So I don't use that stuff a lot. And but yeah, that's how I built it. Was I just worked really hard. And as far as, you know, modern day chops, I think you just have to slow down sometimes. Sometimes it's not a physical thing, it's more of a pattern thing. You just can't think of the pattern fast enough. So if you play it at 40% your max for a couple hours, you'll probably be pretty fast at it. Next.
Okay, next one. How much are you missing when practicing on electric drums?
Oof, that's a great question, especially when I'm streaming on the channel of a company that sells electric drums as well as acoustic drums, obviously. I think electric drums, first of all, to be as transparent as possible, I think they are fantastic because of how many, probably tens if not hundreds of thousands of drummers have gotten into the instrument, because they would have never been able to start without them, because maybe they live in a flat or their neighbors are too close, or it would drive the entire family nuts. So I'm a massive fan of the product itself. As a teacher, I do see quite a few issues, nothing crazy, but I do see a lot of issues when people have only played an electric kit and then they think that that skill set will transfer over to the acoustic. It generally doesn't. Some of the independents will for sure, but the touch, the feel, the volume, I mean, the drums, like, it scares them. You know, think about how you're kind of rewiring your brain when you play on an E-kit. You get it, you put everything at the same level. So you put everything at 5, the kick, the snare, the toms, cymbals, everything's at 5. And you just start smashing away. Well, your mom says, hey, you got to stop with all that stomping. It's killing us, man. You cannot do that. Well, then what do? Later, my friend. You turn up the kick, but play it quieter. So you've rewired your brain that this amount of effort gets you doosh, doosh, doosh. So when you get to a real drum set, you go, oh, I thought that would be louder. Oh, I thought that, and it's like, yeah, you've kind of rewired your brain. So I think that there's 2 things that I would recommend. One, if you have an acoustic kit, electric kits are amazing. And the reason why is because you get to go back and forth. They're amazing. I have one. Actually, I have 3 in the back room of the new Yamaha kits. I absolutely love them. But I play on them knowing what they are, and I'm working on my independence on them. I'm not working on my touch and my feel. Then the other thing I would recommend is just get a regular kit. Get like a Gretsch Catalina kit, or the Questlove kit from Ludwig, or JoJo's Jungle kit from Sonar. Get a regular kit and get the Aquarian super pads. At least then you're playing the exact same setup that you normally play. The heights are where they're supposed to be, and you're hitting a tactile thing that you can hear. Like, you know, I can hear that this is louder than this by a great deal. So I physically control the sound coming out of this. So that would be my recommendation. Then you already, and especially if you're like, well, I want to get a real kit, but the sound, it's like, get a real kit and throw some Aquarian super pads on it. Then you have a real kit for whenever you want it, for whenever your neighbors go to work, and you have a kit that's quiet enough to play on in an apartment. By the way, E-kits are not that quiet when you start really laying into them. They make quite a bit of noise. Next.
Okay, next one is, any tips for a newbie trying to speed up and smooth out their double stroke roll?
Yeah, I think there's quite a few things you can do. One, just understand that you're going to have plateaus. 2, mix up the surfaces. So maybe, this surface right here, this has a lot of rebound. It's very clicky, right? Make sure that your doubles sound as clear there as they do. You might be able to do this, but when you slow them down, you go, oh my gosh, I can only turn them on. So I would say make sure you have multiple surfaces. This is my soft side. And then maybe a pillow and maybe a hard covered book. So that, and then the other thing is dig into the doubles themselves. Like, well, you could accent the first note of each double. Right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. And the second note, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left. And so one of the things that I like to do is just go through the numbers. So 2s, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now I'm always going to be playing doubles. Right, right, left, left, right, right, left, left, 1, 2. Then 3s, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Right, right, I'm sorry. right, left, left, right, left, right, left, left. It's hard to say. Right, left, right, left, right, left, left, right, left. Fours, left, right, left. Fives. And eventually improvising in just doubles. So really, instead of thinking about the speed, think about the control, and that'll actually help build the speed. Next.
Okay, how can I expand my fills? I feel stuck sometimes and just play the same old fills.
Get the PDF. I just taught like a whole 1 hour class on this, so just watch this lesson back. What?
Just watch this lesson.
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming you probably logged in late. I literally taught a whole class on it. Inside this one page is this. 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 And even this. I'll slow it down a little bit. So literally get this PDF from the chat room. If you need it, just tell Amber in the chat. She will paste the link. But this is a billion fills on this one page. It's just, we just have to put in the work, you know, and we have to stop skipping around all these random videos and ingesting, you know, just billions of hours and minutes of content without really putting in the time. Block all that stuff out and just zero in on something. Like this page, why not make this page 1 year of your life? What are you going to miss out on? Nothing, but at the end of that year, you will own 16th note triplets. You will own the triplet world. You want to apply this to jazz? All of this is jazz vocabulary. You can do anything with this, but you do have to just block some things out and commit to what you want to get better at, and this page will do exactly that for you. Next.
What would you say your favorite overhead mic is?
I would say this one. Yeah, I mean, I always had the 50-45 as a pair, 50-45s as a pair. So one in front of the kick, one as an overhead. I would say single channel, that is my favorite overhead mic, the Audio-Technica 50-45. And then when I got this kit, my new broadcaster, we filmed the unboxing at the DW warehouse, which is also where the Gretsch warehouse is now, or some of the Gretsch stuff. But my A&R works there. It's a long story, but Gretsch and DW share offices. So we filmed it there in the warehouse, and this is the mic they used as the overhead. And I didn't think anything about it. It just looked like an Audio-Technica mic. Then when they sent me the files, because I said, I'll mix the audio, and they sent me the files, I was like, I thought there was only a single overhead. You gave me a right channel, a left channel, and a kick. How is there 3 channels? And he's like, oh, that was a stereo overhead. And it was just the sound I got out of it, the control I had over it. After having a single mic for so long, I was like, this is amazing. So I would say if money is no object, the 50-45 is more than this. This is the 4050 ST, Audio-Technica 4050 ST. The 50-45 I think is more by itself. But yeah, I mean, if we get rid of my endorsements, I love a good AKG C414. The 214 sounds amazing too, and it's like half the price. You know, everyone's going to rave about Coles, like you know, more vintage tube mics. I think they're great if they're not as your only overhead. They're great if you add them into a fully mic'd kit. So you'll see them in like every studio video, and you're like, oh, I gotta get those. And it's like, well, not like this. If it's your only mic, that's not where I would go. It's just going to be too muddy, too warm. It's beautiful for adding that warmth to your kit. So that's my answer to that. Anything else?
What's the difference between fills and phrase?
Great question. So a phrase is something that has room for improvisation. I feel like a fill is set in stone, where the fill can take place inside the phrase. So the phrase might be boom, boom, boom. That's our phrase. So every 2 bars I'll do that. So I did like, I guess 4 or 5 different fills, all stuck to the same phrase. So the phrase is the overall big picture of the thing. Sometimes fills have no phrase to them. It's just like, well, I've got this amount of time and I'm going to throw some heat. And sometimes your fills stick to ensemble figures, and sometimes that phrase is repetitive, you know. So yeah, it's kind of weird. Like you can also start to phrase things, and then they become things that can stretch over the bar lines. You know, if I'm phrasing ding da doom, just that. So my phrase is ding da doom, ding da doom, ding da doom. Listen to how that goes over the bar line. So if I'm So that's the phrase, ding da doom, and it's just floating over the bar line. Hope that helps. Next.
That was your last question.
All right, so real quick, just to get through the rest of these letters that are on your page, we did E, we did F, here's H. I absolutely love H. Now we're getting into longer phrases. We've got a 9-note phrase here, and it sounds like this. So listen to that. I'm actually going to just put on a slow, do we have some trip hop in our drumless tracks section? Let's find some trip hop. Go 84. Let me listen to this. What about this one? Okay, so I'm gonna groove for a bit, and then I'm gonna jump into H, and I'll just stay on H. Listen to how it goes against the bar line. It's awesome. I absolutely love that little thing. And the last one we have is letter I. Spicy, same thing.
Right up your alley, wait. I gotta play it safe. Watch me isolate, watch me isolate, watch me isolate. Time flashy, we just fancy, come up, alley, wait. Time flashy, we just fancy, come up, right up your alley, wait. Time flashy, we just fancy, come up, right up your alley, wait. I gotta play it, watch me isolate, watch me isolate.
So I'm not kidding. this page is the secret sauce. It's going to take a ton of work. There's no way to get around that. But it's all here. It's all here. I mean, I put it here. Please practice this. It'll be so good for you. Any other questions, Am?
Yep, we have one more.
Okay.
It says, I find playing on a larger kit can disguise a smaller vocabulary as something bigger.
Okay.
Do you find small kits and pads to be better catalysts for growth and larger kits than larger kits?
Yes. My teacher, Pete Magadini, when I was just starting to tour professionally, like when my band got signed, I had just started studying with Pete, and he said, okay, we're just going to be on kick, snare, and hats and a ride for a while. And I was like, what? And I had a pretty big kit at the time. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, I can practice on that at home. He's like, no, that's all I want you to play. I'm like, well, I'm headed out on a 6-month tour. Like, I'm not going to not take toms. He's like, if you want to study with me, you're not going to take toms. So I had to go tell my band, you know all that thunderous floor tom stuff? It's not going to be on this tour. And I mean, it didn't go down well, that's for sure, but I was committed more to getting better as a player than I was to anything else. And I trusted Pete. And so, yeah, so I did like 6 months with no toms, no crashes, just a ride right over my kick drum, hi-hats and snare. And my goodness, like I grew so much trying to make that thing sound good. You know, I mean, now if you think about like, and I still, even with my students on mikeslessons.com, we do trading fours. I'll do it right now for you just so you can experience it. You can do it with me if you want. Trading fours in groove position. Okay, so what that means is, let's find our pop category. Pop. Okay, so we trade 4-bar phrases, but we never leave this position. Never. So you have to do everything here. So if it's like this. Yeah, that type of stuff. I mean, then you throw a floor tom in the mix, a rack tom, a cymbal, and it's like, oh my God, now. Then the world's your oyster. Then this feels like a freaking Mike Mangini kit. It's like, oh my God, what does this one do? Woo! All right, anything else, Sam?
Yeah, last one. Somebody says, can you just shred on these triplets for us on your way out?
Yeah, how about I'll just do 4-bar phrases of this whole page to the rest of this song, and then we will say goodbye to all of y'all. So 4 bars of groove, and then 4 bars of me just shredding these triplets. That was not it. Yeah. 3 minutes of triplet sauce. And I might throw in some other stuff too, just for fun.
I see you in the back, the mood is right. If I just had
little bit more responsibility. The idea. You get the idea. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for supporting what Long and McQuaid is doing. I mean, they started doing this during COVID to keep you guys entertained. I hope you got at least a little taste of what Mike'sLessons.com is like. This stream wasn't just set up for this. We do this every single week. Every Saturday, we have our homework assignments where thousands of drummers from all over the world work on the exact same homework assignment, and we all try to perfect it. The beginners are just trying to do it. The pros are trying to do it at a session level. And then on Sunday, we have our virtual shed sessions. It's live. I can't edit it. Our virtual shed sessions where you and I get to jam together. Don't worry, I can't see you, but you can see me. And it's a chance for you to have a creative outlet. Then there's all the courses, there's drum docs, and there's all these drumless tracks. We even have jazz now. What? That's crazy. Jazz on Mike'sLessons.com. Listen. Come on. There's funk, there's everything. It's all waiting for you on Mike'sLessons.com. Also, no pressure, but when you do sign up, you get the first week free. So if you don't like it, bail. But if you want to do that, great. Also, once again, if you joined us late, I know that on YouTube you're kind of coming in, coming out. If you didn't get the PDF, this is the magic page. It'll set you up for success with improvising and flowing in the world of triplets, and you can just take that into the world of 16th notes. You can think like, oh, well, couldn't I just do this for, yes. What if I did it with a para? Yes. You can do it with anything. So if you didn't get this PDF, let Amber know in the chat room and she will paste the link for you. But for now, everybody, I'll be in the chat for a little bit if you want to talk to me. But most importantly, thanks for the support. I hope you had fun. I hope you support the next drummer, the next bass player, the next guitarist that does this with Long and McQuaid. And hopefully I will see you at a Long and McQuaid near you. To everybody out there, thanks so much. To Amber for womaning the cameras, for womaning everything. Queen of women. Appreciate it. Dante's not here anymore, but that was... I was so rude outside. He's like, yo! And I was like, not now, Dante.
He literally came like 59 seconds before this thing started.
And there's a lot of pressure. We do this all the time, but doing it on someone else's page, there's pressure. There's a lot of pressure. Yeah. Like, I don't want to let Long and McQuaid down. And especially after being like, we got this. This is what we do for a living. And then, of course, we would be the ones to train wreck the whole thing. So, and then he was like, he just wanted to hang out. And I was like, I know I haven't seen you in a really long time, but I need you to get your butt in that studio right now and be very quiet. Got a lot of pressure on me, and I have to pee. Anyways, have an amazing day, everyone. Get some practice in. Practice with this page. If you need any help with this page, just reach out to me, Mike at Mike'sLessons.com. But until then, that's a wrap.